Well, fuck. That was actually pretty good. Yeah, I'm serious. The last half of season 4 is everything I wanted this show to actually become. And yeah, this show ending the way it did was everything I wanted it to be like. But because Disney did not want risks until way under the way into their PG environment, they can't really do the things they did in this last half until like literally they spoil the moment. So yeah, the Jedi Knight, Doom, Wolves in a Door, World Between Worlds, A Fool's Hope, Family Reunion, and Farewell. They are everything fans want and I wanted out of this show. I wanted this grittier, darker show, yet it still has some form of humanity to it, and it's not completely dark and gritty. But, yeah, I was like, where the hell has this show been? Did we just watch another show that just is a sequel series that Disney said, hey, let's go balls to the wall with this? Like, there's torture, there's characters going through processes after Kanan is killed. And yeah, Kanan's death, that was coming a mile away. I'm not surprised by that, so I refuse to count it as a, oh my god moment, because they built that up for the entire show. It was like, so like the first second I saw Kanan, I was like, yeah, he's dead. Yeah, the first time I saw Kanan on the show, I was like, he's gonna die, isn't he? Like, we learn how, like, especially when you look at the expanded universe stuff, he ran away when his master was killed, even though she ordered him to leave, and that she'll be right behind him, and that ended horribly. Yeah, I get the feeling they knew that was. I was like, yeah, he's gonna die. It's guaranteed at this point. And I was initially hesitant regarding Jedi Knight. Like, I was a little worried at first, especially when they hit all the cliches. Hera, finally, even though it wasn't really finally, it's more like, yeah, everyone knew that was the case. Where Hera says she confesses her love to him. And all I'm thinking is, wait, don't they call each other love like every single second of the day? Isn't that what Hera kept calling him during the early stages of the show, but then they stopped because they thought that would give away too much? And considering what happened at the end of the show, yeah, I get the feeling, yeah, they bullshit on that part. So, yeah. Kanan's dead. He does what his master did, but basically tells him, you have to accept I'm dead. And sure enough, episode 11, aka Doom, is the second best episode. We see the characters actually, feel like they're vulnerable. We see they're emotionally turmoiled. We see that they're in pain and they just lost someone they knew for God knows how long. Hera the most because she was madly in love with him. But yeah, Sabine, Zeb, and Ezra, they all go through these processes. In fact, I even wrote some quotes from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic on my Twitter showing the videos of certain scenes of that episode and another episode. I was like, yeah, that's the best way to describe what these scenes were basically saying. They were basically doing what Knights of the Old Republic said, but being it brought to life. And I was like, oh my god, we're getting character development. And I did like that Zeb almost killed Rook, because, he's in pain. Also, he just further summarizes that he is completely worthless, because since his character arc was done in Season 2, he doesn't do a thing relatively in the rest of the show, in my opinion. But I knew they were going to kill Rook, like, oh, no way, you have to go ahead and make him kill Thrawn. Like, that's clearly where it's going, right? So, yeah. And sure enough, then we get the best episode of the entire series. Not Wolves in a Door, that was the third best episode. Where Ezra, Hera, Sabine, and Zeb and Chopper all go out and they're heading out to find this temple after one of the giant wolves named Doom told him about it. And sure enough, they're freaking out that the Emperor's here, or at least hologram-wise. So, moving on from that part. Yeah, we get the best episode, A World Between Worlds. And I already covered parts of it in the theory video. So, yeah. We see Ezra going ahead, looking through all this stuff of all the past characters talking, including the future events like Jyn Erso and Kylo Ren, which leads to the question, I was a little surprised by one thing that I noticed. Palpatine's not at all voiced in this. Like, we don't hear a voice of him echoing. I was honestly suspecting they would put in unlimited power! But no, they didn't do that. That surprised me. Or you know, any of his more sinister moments where he goes in and does the cryptic threats he makes. Instead, the first person that pops up is Yoda. That was disappointing. The reason why I say that is because when he says the line, "Truly wonderful, the mind of a child," from episode 2, Attack of the Clones, I was like, yes, the wonderful mind of a child that you're trying to destroy and turn into an automaton. You're a great person, Yoda. Yeah, I'm still pissed off at you for trying to get people killed, because you don't want to admit your mistakes. That's too much of an ask. And sure enough, Ezra is shown to have gone back in time and saves Ahsoka. Yeah, we've introduced time traveling, and I've already covered that in my video as well. There was one thing I forgot to mention. There was going to be an idea once upon a time regarding Invincible, the final story in Legacy of the Force, where they would actually bring someone from the past to the future, Anakin Solo, in part of a flow walking overuse, like causes that to happen. That would have been a happy ending apparently, but yeah, they cut that out, and I would have been interested in a little bit of how that would have worked. However, it's revealed that, yeah, Kanan might have theoretically brought them there to do something, which is apparently the last lesson is to overcome his grief over Kanan's death. Which does lead to this question. When Ezra finds the portal, we see the Sith insignia. I didn't notice this at first until Star Wars explained it. Yeah, I said that. But then when we think about it, wait. Kanan's death looked in a state that was practically unavoidable, and then the Emperor pops in that same portal. Did Palpatine find a way to fake the whole thing and, like, somehow show that he could have gotten Ezra if Ezra fell for it? Yeah, that's always been speculated. That's been speculated recently. But who cares? Ahsoka lives! Yay! She lives! Rejoice for possibly the best Star Wars character in the new canon! And in the top 10 of Legends. Yeah, I'm still debating between Kreia and Mara Jade, but that's a different matter. Yeah, anyways. So now they have accepted that, yes, Kanan's dead. There is no coming back from that. And I always kept wondering, so are there like time portals that show events that could be prevented, but in a theoretical sense it can't prevent something from happening unless you go way back and change something to change the future? Which still could tie into my Snoke theory. So now, Ezra finally has overcame his grief, and now it's time to liberate Lothal. Sure enough, they go ahead and kidnap Governor Bryce. Yeah, now the Rebel Alliance is resorting to terrorism, to an extent. And Ezra's even threatening to feed her to wolves, and I was like, why wasn't this the show? All throughout this show, I was wondering, why is it not this? Yeah, so Yeah, after they capture Governor Price, Thrawn is coming back all pissed off because the TIE Defender project's been cancelled because of the destruction of the fuel back in episode Jedi Knight. And then we get the final battle, the epic conclusion of what will be for the future of Lothal. Yeah, they practically won. They won back Lothal. And there is one thing I did notice. If a couple of people who really had no role in the show that much could overthrow a government system in Lothal, how the fuck can the Empire win? Like, that was the death note for the Empire. Like, sir, we lost Lothal even with our mighty ships, and we lost to space whales! Space whales! Yeah, the Space Whale episode, I am still pissed off at that, but sadly, that has a tie-in to the series finale. Fuck. But yeah, I was like, oh god, space whales. They're bringing the fucking space whales in. Okay, well, at least I know Thrawn's gonna live because Dave Filoni says he outlives Galen Erso. I know they're not gonna kill off Rook because, well, oh, it's Rook. He has to kill Thrawn. No, Rook's dead. Yeah, he gets horribly electrocuted to death. I'm like, we don't see it, but yeah, he gets horribly electrocuted to death. So how does Thrawn die now? And then when the space whales, I know they have a name, but I'm calling them what it is. They're space whales. We hear someone over the comms when Thrawn is contacting his fleet. We hear we hear the name of a familiar character. And Paleon. You know who that is. Thrawn's former right-hand man in Legends. Oh my god, they brought him back? Just so he could most likely die at the end of the show? Wow. Wow, Disney, you still have to pull the dick move now. Are you trying to hint that because Vanto, Thrawn's new right hand, is around, there's no need for Paleon? Even though there's like 100 different things you could have done? But no, you had to say fuck it. Like, fuck the fans who like this guy, and fuck everything he did in Legends. Like, Disney still had to pull the dick card. That's right, I'm calling it. Disney still told Dave Filoni, okay, can you put this character in as a big middle finger to the fans? You'll get all the heat, but, you understand, right? We're the good guys here, right? We're the evil conglomerate that's supposed to take over the world since we just bought Fox. But anyways, enough about my conspiracy rant theories about the whole Disney is plotting to piss everyone off. So, yeah, what happens to Ezra? What happens to Thrawn? What happens to everybody? Well, Gregor from the Clone Wars is finally dead. Wolf is still alive. Rex survives, so therefore there is confirmed he is in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Anyways. Sabine's alive, Hera's alive. Oh, we learned something about her at the end of the episode that really will contradict the whole they weren't in love until they actually said it bullshit. So, yeah, Ezra, Thrawn, and what little remains of the Imperial ship that they were on is sucked into hyperspace by the space whales, never to be seen again. Yeah, they're not dead probably, but they're out there somewhere in the galaxy. Though this leads to a complicated question, which I'll get into the end of the video. So, at the end of the show, Sabine is narrating everything like she was the main character, except she didn't really have much of an arc since it was all rushed as all hell. During the 3 seasons, but moving on from that. They move forward with this, and apparently Ezra, Thrawn, never came back, so that explains why Thrawn never showed up in the original trilogy. But this leads to a question. Sabine keeps the lightsaber, so we know where that's most likely going to go. That's going to go to Luke. I'm calling it now. Ezra's lightsaber is actually Luke's. It's actually Luke's crystal, kyber crystal used for it. which means he got ruined and destroyed at the end of during the events of Kylo Ren's betrayal, which I still theoretically blame Yoda for cosmic reasons. Yeah, so she and Ahsoka somehow escaping Malachor, even though it's not been confirmed that Ezra told anybody she was there, and I don't know how she would get out. But at least Ahsoka survives the events of the original trilogy, so thank God for that. They set out to find Ezra after Sabine realized, yeah, Ezra said, look for me. You know, I was honestly expecting their romance to happen. It never does, so... Are they in a relationship of sorts or not? Because Ezra seems to trust Sabine the most. And Ezra hinted that he might come back, except I don't think he will for several reasons. But I was confused with that. Now, where's the rest? Well, Agent Kallus, now part of the Rebel Alliance, and yada yada yada. And Zeb go back to Zeb's original homeworld, and Kallus is brought in as one of them. Yeah, so yeah, even though you wiped out an entire species of the known galaxy, you're cool with us. Even though the process should have been much, much longer instead of instantaneously, because Zeb trusts him now. But moving on from that. And by the way, they contribute so much to the show. I'm kidding. They contributed to nothing other than ruin Zeb's character arc. And the tension he could have had. But that's a different story. We never see Rex at the end of the episode in the time skip, but it stands to reason he probably did make it to past Endor. Harrison Dillon was guaranteed to survive along with Chopper, but we learned something. Hera was pregnant at the time when the final battle was coming, and Kanan and her had a kid. There was a moment in the episode that's actually quite subtle in the series finale where Hera actually touches her stomach. Like, wait, why was that? Oh, dear God, they have a kid, don't they? Son of a bitch! Kanan impregnates Hera. Which leads to the question, how long has she been pregnant? All throughout this, I was like, they couldn't have gotten pregnant before before season 4. Could they, theoretically, like, before the Lothal mission? But that's impossible, like... I don't know, but, like, yeah, anyways. So, yeah, and considering what happens in the future, when Luke goes ahead and loses everything, and the Knights of Ren forming, probably because of the Force-sensitive people, I'm staying to reason that Hera's child ends in a horrible, gruesome fate. I am royally fucking cruel, aren't I? Or by some miracle, she makes sure he never joins up with Luke and lead to that horrible disaster. Though that does lead to the reason the Knights of Ren might come after her if they're still operating by past Episode 9. By the way, John Williams is no longer making music after Episode 9 for Star Wars universe. Tragic. But anyways. Yeah, Sabine and Ahsoka are now out looking for Ezra. If Ezra and Thrawn are still alive, and they're in the unknown, I think I might know who's waiting for them. Because in the Aftermath story, Empire's End, Palpatine hears something calling to him from the unknown. Thrawn hinted that there's a threat in the unknown. Yeah, Snoke's waiting for Ahsoka and Sabine probably, and Ezra and Thrawn are gonna have to plot something, which does lead to an interesting angle. If it does lead to a sequel series where we see Ahsoka and Sabine looking for Ezra, and by extension Thrawn, does that mean we'll see them team up? Because that would be freaking awesome to see Thrawn team up with his former enemies. But, yeah. And here's the thing: there is a probability that they probably could show up in episode 9, Ahsoka especially. Sabine and Ezra would theoretically be what, in their early 50s at best, or 40s, by the time the events of the sequel trilogy would happen. Hera, I don't know. Kanan and Hera's child, yeah, maybe he could still be alive. Yeah, but Ahsoka, okay, yeah, they had to bring her in episode 9. That would lead to a theory, though. If they're the Outer Rim allies, what the hell happened to them? Like, I know their characters are built in a way that they would not turn down the need to help, so maybe, like, someone... Okay, here's the thing. When Leia talked about how the galaxy lost hope, it's only been a week! At best! So, this leads to my theory. Were the Knights of Ren attacking the Outer Rim allies? Is that why they weren't in the movie in a story, in an in-universe sense, and they went ahead and took the signal and rejected it as while the forces retreated somewhere else? That could work in this hypothetical sense, but that's a different matter. So, yeah, Ahsoka and Sabine are looking for Ezra and by extension Thrawn. Thrawn may still be alive, though I would love to see him kick Hux's ass in episode 9 if he actually makes it that far. Like, there's a chance he could, because the Chiss, where in Legends I do not know how long their average lifespan is, but Disney can do whatever the fuck they want with that. So, yeah. And that might be the closest we get to Legends versus canon, or at least Legends versus Disney, with Thrawn fighting Kylo Ren's fleet. That would be friggin' awesome. But yeah, what's gonna happen next for the Star Wars animation stuff? No idea. They're planning to do something. There's rumors of Resistance being the next show, but really I don't think so yet. No idea as what's gonna happen next for the Star Wars. I was honestly thinking there would be a preview of something coming in the future at the end of the show, but no, there wasn't. We're going to have to see what happens next. This last half of Season 4 was honestly the only thing that really says you should go and watch it. You should go and watch this last half. Whereas Rebels initially had bits and pieces of good moments, like like every time Ahsoka showed up on the screen, which was freaking awesome, and Ahsoka versus Vader, that built up from one series, so Disney can't take credit for that mostly. They just had to put that in there because, oh god, George Lucas kept buying us into a corner. And along with Dave Filoni. But yeah, that's a different matter. But yeah. This is going to be something interesting regarding Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka, and what holds for them. But, like I said, we're going to have to wait and see. This last half of Season 4 was honestly the best one of the entire show. It took them 3.5 seasons to finally get the show I wanted out of Star Wars Rebels. And sure enough, it delivered everything I had hoped the show could have been. So while I will not want to remember the show most of the time, I will remember these bits and pieces and the last half of Season 4 as the best parts. Yeah. Okay, so I think I should end it here. Those were my thoughts on the last half of Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more, and may the Force be with you all.